Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum, adab. Welcome to the fourth State of Investment Climate Seminar, Bangladesh. We have amongst us a very special guest today. So let me first introduce him. He is, of course, my mentor, and I'm generally, when I speak to him, quite scared of him. Our Honorable Advisor for Ministry of Power, Energy and Mineral Resources, Muhammad Fouzul Kabir Khan. He's also the head for the Ministry of Road Transport, Bridges, and the Ministry of Railways. A bit of background for our honorable guest. He's a renowned economist and author of one of the well-read books across all the universities called WIN, which was translated into Chinese recently as well. He was Secretary for the Power Division from 2007 to 2009. And he has been consultant for various organizations, including World Bank, ADB, JICA, and the likes of those. So typically, as we go along, let's start our session straight away. We will move to our slides. I hope you can see my slides. Fantastic. So the standard order, we will talk about the economic update, followed by the progress reports. And then finally, we will speak to our honorable guest. We'll ask him questions, some of the questions that you've already sent to me, and we will obviously allow you to ask questions on the dashboard. So please feel free to throw in questions for him. We will try to make sure that we get through as many as we can within the stipulated time frame. So let's straight jump into the economic update. First up is an interesting observation from a recent op-ed by the finance advisor and his special assistants. And it clearly says in most countries that experienced a revolution of the kind that we had experienced last year suffer immediate and severe economic fallouts. For example, Indonesia in 1998, poverty doubled in a year. In Sri Lanka in 2022 and 23, 26% of the population fell into poverty straight away. And in Russia in 1991-1993, inflation exceeded 800%. And life expectancy dropped by 6 years. In contrast, if you look at what has happened in Bangladesh in recent times, we've been able to maintain a positive GDP growth. We saw a decline in inflation instead of a rise. We've stabilized its currency under a market-based regime. We have actually let the currency go, but still looks pretty solid. We've achieved a stock market rally in recent times. I do admit a lot of work still needs to be done, but it's showing good signs. And then we've received record remittances boosting foreign reserves. So, as I said already that inflation is easing, let's look at the inflation and the trend we see in recent months. When the central bank governor spoke to us on the second episode of this webinar, if you recall, he talked about the arsenal of initiatives to stabilize the economy. And it's showing results. It was a tightening monetary and fiscal policy. It was a 10% policy rate curve that really was trying to drive the inflation down, some structural reforms in the financial sector, and asset recovery initiatives. And all of those obviously was supported by some of those revenue-enhancing long-term changes that we have seen in NDR, which we hope in the long run will give us a much better outlook as a country. The next indicator, which is a very interesting one we really wanted to put in front of you, is the Purchasing Manager Index, or PMI. And it's very well internationally recognized benchmark. And it's a monthly survey of over 500 private sector enterprises. Here, about 50 looks like you're okay, you're slowly expanding, no major change, but you are maintaining the status quo. Below 50 is you're shrinking your business, but if your PMI is above 60, that really shows that there is some form of mentality or belief that the market is ripe for growth, and therefore investors are looking for opportunities to invest. Now that sort of easing and stabilizing, but that brings us to the third point, which is the forex reserve and the FX rate. The reserves we've seen continuously going up with the support of IMF and with the support of the ever-increasing surge in support from the diaspora across the world. It's highest since August 2023, despite, as we always say, paying down over 3 billion of areas, and a lot of which is actually to the credit of our guest of honor in the energy ministry. But the higher inflows from remittance and our exports showing great results have definitely helped the cause. I merge all of these with the FDI number, which is coming in a bit, but let's quickly jump into a very talked about topic in between. Let's plug this in, which is the US trade negotiations. A lot has been talked about it, a lot of positive speculation, negative energy, worries about how Bangladesh is going to fare this weather. But now that we have landed somewhere in the form of a framework, there's certainly more confidence in the export sector, especially after the last round of negotiations. As a result, we are clearly seeing that orders are flooding in from US retailers, and some of them are obviously looking at other markets and thinking if they should be looking at Bangladesh for future. We're expecting a similar trend from not only US, but a lot of other countries, given our factors of production advantage. The tariffs apply only to a non-American portion of product value in our new framework. And to counter that, we have boosted our US cotton imports, and our apparel manufacturers are innovating as US. The ones that I have spoken to, I'm actually really excited to see the scope of made with US cotton. So we're maintaining a competitiveness in the US market. We're also expecting the world to regenerate or come back with the belief that Bangladesh is definitely there for the long run. Now, as I spoke about my FDI slide, here's the interesting slide that I'm really proud of. So the FDI has rose quite significantly in last couple of months. And now that we look back in the last quarter, we see a 76% rise. And like I said, a lot of it is happening in the China corridor and the South Korean corridor. Some of the great names that you see on the right-hand side, these are not only a new investment, but they are genuine technology transfers and skill development for our country, which we're really excited about. So the momentum is building. And now let's talk about what we're actually doing behind the scenes to build this momentum. To that end, as you all know, at the very beginning of this year, we laid out about 30 plus reform initiatives to improve the investment climate. Now the number has gone up to 32. We added 1 or 2 more while we spoke to the stakeholders. And here is a snapshot. We've completed roughly about 18. 6 are in progress. We are behind schedule for 7. And one of them we have now pushed out to 2026, thinking the time has really passed for us to make enough dent into that initiative. So let's look at the progress report. And this is a slide that you've seen in every state of investment climate. We've come back with traffic lights on each of these initiatives. On the green side, obviously, we've rolled out and fully revamped the BIDA website, which is a bliss now, to bring it up on the global standards. And we've also brought key agencies like NBR and Bangladesh Bank under the same roof. So now if an investor walks into BIDA office, they actually can consult some of these key government ministry or agency partners sitting in the same office. We've added 2 new reforms. One is setting up a specialized zones, whether it's a free trade zone or a military industry, and at the same time, a rep office, the first of our kind outside Bangladesh. The first one we're looking at is in China. One initiative that has been dropped due to the upcoming elections is just because we just don't think there's enough time for the advisory council to take full momentum, and it's better off if we just pass it on to the political government to set it up. I do want to put some spotlight on 1 or 2 initiatives. One we've been trying for a long time to get there, but we've now finally managed to get there. We've actually been able to set up the first ever investor relationship management team in BIDA, the first of its kind in a government agency in Bangladesh. And the idea is to have a single point of contact for our investors, taking the best practices from banks and really hand-holding the investor inside the government machinery. I hope it does show a benefit, not only from a service point of view, but also a cross-sectional learning point of view. The private sector will learn about the government will also learn a lot more about private sector, And hopefully when these folks go back to private sector after their stint, they do take a lot of energy and connection and network back to the private sector. And I genuinely look forward to the future government to use this as a blueprint for the future BIDA structure. Here are a few more critical items that we've constantly heard from our investors. The first one is the work permit simplification issue. The Ministry of Home has been very closely working with us to remove some of the unpredictability and the security clearance challenges, the time it takes for our foreign professionals in Bangladesh. This will go live in September. So we're also working to build capacity of our officials and officials on the Home Ministry side to be able to make this reform sustainable. We're trying to digitize the process as much as possible. The investment management is coming under a single umbrella in Bangladesh. As you have probably heard about it, we are trying to create a unified body inside government that will behave as one entity instead of being frictional against each other. And we are getting help from the best global consultants to get this integration done so that it's done properly and it is a permanent setup. And then most importantly, on the FDI initiative, one new thing we have introduced, and we will hopefully roll it out in Q4, is the incentive scheme, where we will be offering incentives for any Bangladeshi, whether it's non-resident or resident, who's going to help us bring FDI into our country. So all these things we do expect to finish in next few months. So our key priorities till the end of this year will continue to be to complete these 32 reform initiatives. At the same time, convert the high priority leads that we have generated in our recent visits. We intend to talk to our diaspora in the US when on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in September. In October, we will be in Turkey and South Korea. We're designing G2B and B2B engagements in there. And then in November, we have our quarterly visit to China. I do believe that that's a visit that we need to do a lot more. It's almost like a continent, so you have to be spreading your wings to go to secondary and tertiary cities to make sure that Bangladesh is well within their radar. And throughout this time, we will focus on capacity building for our officials in BIDA, as I genuinely think a lot of times what we have is senior government officials asked to now deal with investment management, investment facilitation issues, but throughout their career, they've actually never interacted with investors on a day-to-day basis. And therefore, it's not to their fault, but it's to our fault that we haven't given them enough training and capacity building tools for them to be able to perform the way we expect them to perform. Now, that's all from me. I would like to stop here. We will really want to jump into the more exciting part of our session today. So if I could welcome our Honorable Advisor, Fouzul Kabir sir. Welcome to our session, sir.
Thank you.
So we do have...
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hear you perfectly well. Thank you. So can you hear me okay as well?
Yes, I can hear you. But can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good.
Thank you. So I'll start with some of the questions I already see on the screen. There are many that have already come up, and to the audience, you can continue asking questions. We'll try to go through as many as we can in next 20 or so minutes. So we'll start with logistics. It is a very big topic that we constantly hear from our investors, our business partners. What kind of structural reforms are planned to boost the transport efficiency and reduce logistical costs in Bangladesh?
Okay, so we need to complement the excellent work done by BIDA by by developing our infrastructure, both power infrastructure and transport infrastructure. So this question related to the transport infrastructure. So earlier what we had was what you call a haphazard building of roads here, building of railway lines there, And then, so what we're doing now is to uh, develop an integrated multimodal transport plan. So the way we are doing is so you take the map of Bangladesh and then you put in the existing road infrastructure and then you put in the existing railway infrastructure and then you put on top of juxtapose it our riverine communication infrastructure there. Then that gives you identifies the hub for transport and movements. And then once we have identified that, then we put in the data, actual movement of transport and goods movement data into the network. So then you have your hubs identified, and then both on the basis of the whatever existing infrastructure is there, and then also based on the movement of the goods and people. So the next step is to find out that where these journeys are originating. So we link the hubs to the spokes. It's like the analogy is that of a cycle rickshaw. You have the hub in the middle, and then all the spokes that join it. So then we join link the hub with the spokes, the places where the journey originates. So the advantage of this is that we'll be able to find the infrastructure gap. So we have to find out where the infrastructure gap is, and then we invest in that area. Then coming to the infrastructure, then we are further able to use this analytical tool is to which is the most efficient way to move people and goods. Is it the roads? Is it the railways? Or it is the inland water transportation system? Or it is the airlines? So that's what we are going to do, is that we will find out where the transport gaps are, and then how to meet those gaps so that will smooth the movement, and also find out what is the most efficient in the sense of both costs and also time taken. So we'll find out whether the railway is the more efficient, or the roads, or the inland water, or airways. So, and then based on that, we will invest in those infrastructure where we get more efficiency.
Thank you, sir. So how long is this exercise going to take, or is it already almost towards the end of?
We are already. So I am expecting a first draft of it. You will be invited sometime next month. And so in August, we are going to get it. And then we will review it ourselves. And then after our review in September or October, we'll present it to the wider audience, including the chief advisor.
Right. And then finally, when it has come to its full form, will it be shared with the public or the business community or the investors?
Yes, everyone. Actually, once we get the nod from the chief advisor, and then our cabinet colleagues, BIDA and others, so then obviously we'll finalize it, and then we'll share it with the business community, and then see where the bottlenecks are, and then how we are going to address the bottlenecks, and then how we are going to move goods and people in a much more efficient and less expensive way.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. So if I move on to power, which a lot of people are very interested in, what are one of the questions we have is, what are the new business opportunities created by the Renewable Energy Policy 2025? And are there specific incentives or policy measures that you would like the investors to know? And how do you see this policy affecting the investment journey and the development journey of the power industry?
Okay, so we've already issued two policy documents. One is already approved by the cabinet or our advisory council, which is the renewable energy policy. That has already been done. In addition, will be taking to the cabinet a next policy, which is called the merchant power policy. So renewable energy policy is understood, but by this merchant power policy means that you see now we have a single buyer model for purchase of power produced by the private sector. So with this new policy, which has a different name though, but the concept is merchant power policy, is that a person can set up a power plant based on renewables or whatever, and then will be able to sell it to a customer of his or her choice at a price mutually agreed. Now the question is that how to, so you generate electricity in a particular area, then how do you move it to the what you call ultimate customer's destination? So to address this issue, what we have arranged is that we'll open our transmission and distribution networks. So even the private producer of electricity will be able to dispatch the electricity to the customer in a different location by using our transmission and distribution network by paying what we call wheeling charge. A wheeling charge is a charge that even our local generation companies pay to our power grid company of Bangladesh. So that's the other thing that we are opening up. So with these two policies, renewable energy policy, and then in the renewable energy policy, we have added a number of incentives. We have lowered the duties. For example, that there will be income tax exemption for 15 years. I think first 10 years, 10%, then 100% reduction in no income tax, and then 50% after 10 years, and then 30% reduction in tax for the remainder of the period. And then we've also reduced the duties for this solar panels, and also reduced the duty on solar inverter, and also the other things. So we have, on the one hand, we have this concession on taxes, and also we have concession on the tariff. We are also trying to create a demand. So recently the cabinet has approved National Rooftop Solar Program. So under which, to begin with, all government offices will have what you call as solar power generation units. We are trying to have one at BIDA as well.
Yes.
And then these will be what you call to reduce the cost of generation of electricity. These will not have, in most cases, will not have any batteries. So this will be connected to the grid, and then grid will work as the battery of sorts. So when there is excess generation in the building or whatever in the industrial units, so then they'll be able to send it to the grid, and then when like at night where there'll be no in-house generation in building generation, then at that time you'll be able to import from the grid. And then we'll facilitate by what is called the net metering system, where every 3 months you'll be billed based on how much electricity did you consume from the grid and how much electricity did you send or supply to the grid. So through this we are we hope, and also we are planning to have all our school buildings, all our hospital, school, college building, and then also our hospital buildings with again the rooftop solar. So again the same model, and same while the government buildings would be financed through government resources from government budgetary allocation. The schools and hospitals and colleges, so those will be implemented by through OPEX model, for example, where the investor will get in. The investor could be a utility, investor could be a private solar power company, the investor could be an NGO. So, and then obviously they'll enter into a contractual arrangement with the schools or the hospital or the college, and then they will share the benefits of a generation. Fortunately for us, that solar electricity has now become competitive, and then we hope to get about, from these two initiatives, we hope to get about 3,000 megawatt peak of electricity by some of it by December, and others will be February and onwards. In addition, we also have floated tenders for 50 odd solar plant. These are ground-based solar power plants. So we have received bids for those, and we are evaluating those. So now we are also preparing our transmission grid for this solar. We are, as you know, that with solar, our most prospective source of renewable energy, you see, there will be a question regarding stability of the grid, because all of a sudden there will be a drop with dusk or sunset, solar generation will stop. So that would create a what you call frequency problem. So to address that issue, we are introducing BESS, battery, what do you call it, energy or storage system, so that the frequency is well adjusted. So we are taking precaution that this does not affect the performance of the transmission and distribution system.
Right. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And that was power. So if I switch to energy side, which is a much talked about topic in our country, about energy security, the gas scarcity situation, the FSRU challenge. So if I if you would be able to give us a general view of what is your
Okay, overview. Okay, all right.
what's the future outlook? How does it look, and how are you going to solve it?
All right. You see, the energy situation in Bangladesh is like this. We have two types of energy, primary energy and the secondary energy, because energy, basically electricity. So in terms of primary energy, we have natural gas, but that gas reserve is dwindling. And then our power plants, our industry are all based on, dependent on this gas. So to what you call, to meet this situation, we have started onshore and offshore exploration of gas. So that's we are proceeding that. But as you know that these things take time. The tendering takes time. The even project implementation, even if it's awarded, it takes time. So that's why in the meantime, what we are doing is we've increased imports of LNG. So imports we've increased. To give you an example, that last year we imported 84 cargoes, means 84 ships load of LNG. This year we have a plan to import 104 cargoes. So 20 additional ships to meet this, what you call this, shortage in domestic supply, and also the increase in demand for gas, increase on unmet demand for gas. So we have about a shortfall of about 1,000 MMCFD per day. So we are addressing this in a number of ways. A, as I've said, that we've increased, we're importing 20 extra cargo of LNG. Then the second is that there are a lot of unauthorized gas connections in this. And then according to estimates, it could be 3 to 500 MMCFD. So we are disconnecting those gas connections, so that those are available for the added to the supply. Then the third strategy that we are taking is the solar program. So what the solar program will help us in the following way, that we have a lot of captive generation in our industries. So with this additional, and then these are gas fired, and these are all extremely inefficient because these are gas engines, but we have what you call this more efficient combined cycle plants where you use both gas and also the steam. So what we'll do is, we'll stop supplying to this inefficient gas generators, and then we will supply them through the grid by generating electricity in a more efficient way. So that way it will release gas that will be available for either more efficient electricity generation or more efficient more efficient either for electricity generation or using other running boilers and so on and so forth. But the fundamental problem with the power and energy sector of Bangladesh was the unprecedented corruption that took place. So what we have done is we have dismantled the entire architecture of corruption. There was a law, 2010 law, that allowed contracting energy projects without open tendering. So we have abandoned that law. And then also we are we have abandoned that law and also done other reforms so that. The other problem that the energy sector overall had was a huge amount of unpaid bills. When this government took over, we had about $3.2 billion of unpaid bills. And then these unpaid bills created uncertainty of supply. And also we had to make late payments. And then most importantly, there were people who were pricing this delay in payments into the price of gas or petroleum products or whatever. So one of our strategy was to reduce this debt, and then we have made the energy sector completely free, what you call overdue payments free. But in the power sector, we still have some liabilities. So we have brought it down from $3.2 billion to what you call near about $700 million. And we are trying to gradually reduce it further. So now we have three models of doing business in Bangladesh. One is the open tender. So that is the most predominant and preferred way, because this allows for price discovery. You find out what is the best price, and then it allows you to get the value for money. The second mode for doing business in Bangladesh is G2G, government to government, so to government. But what we are doing is with G2G, we are now what you call looking at it at a more rigorous way, so that the G2G prices earlier were, in some cases, were very, very high. So we are looking at that. The third model of doing business in Bangladesh today is the public-private partnership, where a government utility gives a concession to a private party, either at home or from abroad. So these are the three models. So overall, as this government, as you know, is a government of short tenure, but we are we think that government is a continuity. These governments will go, but another government will take its place. But then we want to leave the energy and power sector on a financially sustainable basis, with templates for what you call a competitive procurement, with templates for good G2G procurement, and also templates for good public partnership document.
Thank you, sir. I know we have over 50 odd questions, but we will. So to the audience, the questions that are targeted towards BIDA, we will send you the response via email. As you have all registered, we'll send everyone a list of answers through the questions related to BIDA. I'm going to try to focus on the questions related to energy or transportation, logistics, all of those. There's a cross-cutting question which is quite interesting, just picked up, which is what is the government's current policy and future roadmap for EV charging infrastructure within petrol stations across Bangladesh? And does it align with the country's energy transition and sustainability goals?
Can I see the question on the screen?
That is a very good question. So
Sure.
let me try to pull it up on screen. Okay, so I'm just going to show it on a Word doc so that you have clarity. If you're able to see my Microsoft Word
The
doc.
government current policy and future roadmap for integrating electric vehicle charging infrastructure within the petrol stations of Bangladesh. How does it align with the country's energy transition? Yes. So the other thing is that we are this is one of our strategies to move from fossil fuel based transportation system to cleaner electricity based. So the government has signed an agreement with the World Bank for 450 electric buses. We're also working on electric trains and so on and so forth. So then the question that asks is that and we're also talking with private investors. So we'll have this EV charging stations as the number of electric vehicles go up. So we intend to open up what we call our existing petrol and gas stations to also provide for electric. So there we'll give them and also we'll give them the electricity connection.
Thank you, sir.
So this is something that we are interested, and then we'll do everything needed to support any investor who wants to invest in EV charging station and also importing EV and then running EV on the roads. So they will get all kinds of support from the government.
Thank you. So maybe we'll take, although we're slightly over time, we'll take one more question. What is your view on the different sources of energy as we try to draw a power generation roadmap in future, ranging from all the way from coal to gas to nuclear to solar, wind? What's your thinking around Bangladesh's energy mix?
Okay, you see, the other thing that we're currently working on is integrated power and energy sector master plan. So we had an integrated energy power sector master plan. So we are updating it. Unfortunately, the past power sector plan, integrated energy and power sector master plan, did not foresee this looming shortage of gas in a way that they should have done. And then the other thing is that it lacked focus on renewable energy, did not consider the potential for renewable energy in supplying, saving both primary energy and also actually, let me shut off my phone. And also the potential for renewable energy such as solar in saving gas on the one hand and also meeting the electricity need. So in terms of, so that's what, so our strategy would be, so we'll work on, in case of primary energy, we'll continue with the exploration. We are doing 200 onshore gas exploration a year, and also we'll be issuing a tender for offshore bidding zone, just to see we could augment domestic supply. And then we are also thinking of increasing imports of fuel. So for that, we're also moving ahead with issuing tender for another FSRU, probably two FSRU, one FSRU in Chittagong area where two FSRUs are already there, and another is in the south in Paira area. So that way, either way, if we get more gas, so we'll have more gas, and also if not, then we'll be able to import more gas. So that's on the and then we also have some coal buried under the ground. So we are also preparing a document that will allow the next government to proceed with coal extraction. So there is some debate between open shaft mining versus deep shaft mining. So those are the issues that we leave to the elected government And then instead of, so we have to rely on, you can't put all our eggs in one basket. So we'll have electricity, we'll have gas, we'll have, we also have coal-fired power plant now. We are trying to improve the logistics of those and then trying to bring down the coal import price. And then we have solar energy into the play. So we we still working on this updating of the integrated power and energy sector master plan, and then we should be done all this by December. So once we do that, so that will give us a roadmap for the power energy sector.
Thank you, sir. And that's hopefully a Christmas gift for a lot of our investors to understand how we are going to play it out. But we are way above time, so I apologize to the rest of the audience who we haven't been able to answer the questions from, but we will make sure that we email you back all the answers. We'll also make sure the slides that we showed today are available for your consumption, so we'll email the slides as well. They'll also be available in LinkedIn for everyone to download, whoever hasn't been able to join the event today. But I thank you all again for joining us today. Thank you, sir, for being with us. This was incredibly helpful, and we look forward to hosting you again in future. Thank you.
Also, this to the investors, our power energy ministry and the transport ministry, we are open. We are more open and forthcoming because we have no agenda of our own. The country's agenda is our agenda, and we'll be happy to help you in any way that we can.
Thank you. There's no better way to finish this. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.